Right now you tuned in to Hip Hop's Revival, and we in the streets, baby. Let's go.
Fuck with Chuck, nigga.
Fuck with Chuck, you in love.
Fuck with Chuck if you want the best shit.
So, for those who don't know who you are, explain exactly what you do and who you are.
Well, mainly I'm an actor and also a writer, film producer. Do a lot of different things. Business owner, recording artist.
Awesome.
Do a
Many
lot
hats.
of stuff. Yeah, man. You pick them up over the years.
Okay, so as far as music, you say you record music. So what kind of music? Are you a rapper, singer?
I hate to say rapper, but I mean I do rap. But I have I'm into all types of music, and so it's really kind of hard to just box it in because I like my music to be really music-y, so to speak, full of instruments, chords, all types of things. So not your average. I don't do like trap music and stuff like that, but yeah. So I mean, if I had to classify it, it would be hip hop.
Okay, that's cool. All right, and then as far as writing, you mean just with movies and writing?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Anything you've done? Anything that we should know about that you've done that we don't know about?
Well, I'm just really getting into the writing side. I always wanted to do it. I just didn't have the patience to sit down and write a whole movie. And so yeah, so a few years ago, I finally got myself in a position where I could just stop and focus, and I did it. And so the first movie I actually wrote is called Mr. Right. It stars Columbus Short and Erica Tazel and whatnot, and that actually got bought and sold and put out, and did really well. And so that was the first one. I got a few more that opened up some doors as well, you know, in the behind the scenes.
That's awesome. That's really cool. You know, you don't meet many people that can say that. The whole entire movie. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I was kind of amazed myself.
All right, so what was it like for you personally getting the role of Suge in the Tupac movie? That's what most people are going to see you in soon.
Kind of surreal, really exciting. I was always a big fan of, you know, that whole death row era. Because even though I was born in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and that's where I was raised for the most part. But when I was younger, we moved out west, and it was during the time that, you know, Death Row and all their artists were hitting their peak, and they were in their prime. And if you ever been on the West Coast, you know you'll hear way more West Coast artists than you will East Coast. So at that time, that's what I was coming up on, was Tupac, Snoop, Dre, you know, Death Row, Dog Pound, like E40, all those guys. And so from there, you know, I took that with me all my life. So always been a Tupac fan. I've had a lot of arguments with people about who the greatest rapper was. It always comes down to Biggie and Pac, and I like Biggie. I love Biggie's music, but Pac, if I had to choose which one if I could only pick one to listen to the rest of my life, it would be Pac. Just because of the type of artist he was, and the revolutionary type of artist he was, and that's what resonated with me. So then I was also one of those people some time back, you know, when you see these other movies coming out, you're like, when the hell are they doing a Tupac movie? Like, somebody needs to do the Tupac movie. Like, what are we waiting on?
When's it coming?
You know, that's the big one. You know what I mean? What's going on? And so, you know, my agent called me and he was like, hey, you know, I got a notice that they want you to read for Suge Knight in the Tupac movie. And I was like, really? You know, because it never crossed my mind, like, oh, I could play Suge Knight.
Yeah,
Never
really?
even, it makes sense now, but at that time it didn't even dawn on me, like, when they go to make this movie, I'm going to go for Suge Knight. I was just like, they need to make the movie.
Not thinking.
Right.
I can play a part in it.
Right, not even thinking somebody's looking out there at me saying, oh, he could be Suge. And which, I mean, they did right. They did a right casting. Because
there you go.
I'm very much into it. I'm always playing. Obviously, I'm a big dude, so I'm either playing either, you know, big badass dudes or just, you know, a very strong presence character. And with Suge, that's what you get. You know, a very strong presence character. And unlike what you've seen in some, you know, in just the media or in other films where he's just portrayed as just like this monster, you know, it's way more to that individual than just what the media or film decided to put out. you know, and that's what you're going to see in this movie. Or not, you'll see the extreme sides, you know, but he also had another extreme side that I think is really cool because you're getting to see there are people that love him, there are people he did a lot for. There are a lot of, oddly, there's a lot of celebrities you'll see that really, you know, they dealt with him, you know, like homies or, you know, even dating, that you'll be like, what?
Wow.
That you never see him step out and be like, nah, he wasn't that bad. You know, he could go far left, you know, if it required it.
Yeah.
But, you know, there was also a side we used to hang out with him. We know he's not that bad. You know, he's actually a good dude.
That's amazing. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. I mean, every single, I mean, any, like, report or
Yeah.
any movie, they just make him like he's a monster. He's just a horrible person. So
Yeah.
it's nice that we're going to see a different side of him.
Yeah, and that's, you know, it's also partly his fault, just because, not in a negative way, but just because, you know, the image, you know, that they
He had
came
to have
out
that
right.
kind of image.
He came out with that image, so then it did the job. It stuck, but then, you know, when it came to certain things, that's all people wanted to focus on was that image, the image of Suge Knight, and not the actual person Suge Knight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The CEO mogul who brought you all these artists that changed the whole, you know, generation of music, and you know, make the business deals, the intelligence. You know, some of the people he's around, like Jimmy Iovine and those guys. You know, you can't just be, you know, some ignorant monster who gets to be with these people and make business deals. So you got to be smart.
Exactly.
You got to be smart and
Business minded, really.
right.
Yeah.
And then that's what he was. You know, he was like Kingpin. You remember the comic Kingpin? He was Kingpin.
You're right.
He was a smart, intelligent businessman who was a by any means necessary type person. You know, so that's why I'm excited, because I didn't want to come on and just be like, oh, we're going to just, oh, every time we see you, you're just doing crazy stuff. I wouldn't have done it. You know what I mean?
Really?
But in this one, it's about substance. It's about accuracy. You know, so that's what made me excited, because that's one of the first things they said was, you know, all that mess you see they put in film or in, you know, media and stuff, just trying to make them look bad. That's not what we're doing here. You know, we're going to keep it real. You're going to see both sides. You know, and that's why we picked you, because we saw that in you, that you can be that the right, or you can be to the left, and that's what we needed. And
That's
so,
awesome.
yeah.
So, how did you prepare for this role when you found that you got it?
Funny enough, as the infamous scene, you know, that a lot of people, especially, you know, if you were a '90s kid, or excuse me, an '80s kid coming up through the '90s, you know, when he got up there and, you know, dissed Diddy about you know, being all up in the videos and all that stuff, and at the Source Awards, and so I used to always like use that line, and just in life, like joking around, whatever the situation was, and using it. So I was familiar, of course, with Suge Knight, and I always had those thoughts like, you know, why do we always just see that side, but all this business and hundreds of millions of dollars were created through this one individual, you know, and so why don't we ever see that side? So I was always curious anyway, and being also, like I said, I'm also a business owner. I own 3 companies with my business partner in North Carolina. So I've always, for years, been in a position of having to be the boss, having to make decisions, you know, not necessarily going, you know, and doing by any means necessary, but being a tough, you know, shrewd businessman. So I already had that kind of mentality, and then being a big man, you know, you already know. Well, you don't know, but you know, when you grow up being a big man, there's certain benefits to it. You know, just like there's positives and negatives. But you know, you can walk into a room with your chest up and look at somebody with your eyebrows scrunched and say, "This is what's going to happen."
Demand attention.
Right, and you know, not every time, but 9 times out of 10, people are like, "Okay." You know, I'm not going to argue with that. You know, so having that mentality already, and then just watching them. You know what I mean? Watching a lot of videos. You know, digging up a lot of research, and just looking at how he speaks, how he talks, and then mimicking that, and just trying to get into the mind frame of Suge Knight for whatever type of scene we're doing, because there's all different types of feels. You know, different things going on, and so just trying to put myself in that position and be like, you know, this is what I can assume he was thinking in this scenario, And that, and the other big part of it is there are actual people involved with this film who know Tupac or knew Tupac, who still know Suge Knight, you know, who were there to see some of the things that happened. There's a lot of people involved that, you know, these individuals really know or knew, you know what I mean? And so I have people I can sit there and they were like, you know, I listen to them just tell stories. And they don't talk about, oh, Suge did all this crazy stuff he was doing. Remember when he did this and that? No, it's like stories of them, stuff they sit around the death row office and laugh and talk about, or pranks, or, you know, just different things. And then, you know, some of the more crucial stuff, you know, when things would happen, shootings, all kind of stuff. And so, matter of fact, it was Daz Dillinger that we were on set. Matter of fact, we were back by the trailers, and it's the first day that Daz and I had met. And, you know, Daz was involved, you know, with them, you know, back in that time as well. Snoop Dogg's father, Pops, he's out there, you know, hanging out. He was very involved with Death Row and a bunch of others. And but I was talking to Daz, and we chopped it up, and we talked, and you know, he brought something to my attention. He was like, make sure you get the twitch. And I was like, the twitch? He was like, yeah, Suge used to always twitch. He had a nerve problem, so his, you know, shoulder would always twitch when he was talking. And, you know, they kind of laughed about it, like, you know, he'd pull that cigar and that arm just be going. And they're like, I never noticed that in any videos. And he was like, he played up back at TMZ video of Suge Knight, and he was like, no, watch the shoulder. And I watched this video probably 30 times, you know.
Never noticed.
Never noticed it. And then sure enough, you know, he's in the video talking to the camera guy, and if you're paying attention, you see that shoulder just going. And I was like, wow, I never know. But little things like that, so, you know, I made sure to incorporate that in there. So you might not notice it, but somebody who knows him or remembers him from that time, you know, because
they'll be paying attention.
Right, because they were saying, you know, there was an actor who portrayed Suge in another film. And they said that was one of the things they were looking for. They were like, oh, come on, he's got to do the twitch. And they said he never did it. And so, you know, and nothing against him, but, you know, just little things like that. So I was able to make it as real as I can with the voice and, you know, just mannerisms and, you know, the facial expressions or lack thereof of the facial expressions.
Sometimes, yeah.
Right, and throwing in things like the twitch so people can be like, you know, that's Suge, you know.
Yeah.
So pretty much like that way.
So, do you think back to your audition day?
Mm-hmm.
Was it a lot of guys there to audition for that part?
No, not really. Every time I went. We met 4 times, and I was the only one, you know, that was there when I went there and met. Mm-hmm. I had heard that the only time I heard of somebody else being involved was near the end when they wanted to meet with me again, and you know, I was like, you know, really, I had to come back to Atlanta again because I had to come to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, they were like, you really need, I can't remember who I was talking to from the production office, but she was like, you really need to come. She was like, because it's down to you and one other guy. And she's like, and you really got a good chance. So I was like, okay.
Back then.
Yeah, let me hop a flight again. And I really wanted to be, two things. I really wanted to be in this film just because of, like I said, being a huge Tupac fan for a long time. To not only see that movie be made, but be a part of it, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's a big deal for me personally and, you know, career-wise. And for me personally and career-wise, but also playing Suge Knight, you know, I've played other characters many times, but I never had the opportunity to play somebody that actually existed. Especially being my size, you're not gonna, it's not too many, it's not too many, you know, right, it's not too many iconic people out there that they can go, hey, you look like him, we're gonna pull you. And so as an actor, that's like kind of the holy grail. You know, you do a lot of good movies, but it's like you always really prove your worth, I guess you can say, when you're playing someone that people already know what they look like, they know how they sound, they know their story. You can't, with a fictional character, they're seeing that character the first time. So it's whatever you create, that's what they get to know about that character. But when you're playing somebody, all you're doing is, you know, recreating something that's already been shown to the world. And so it's a lot of judgment. Right. You got to have chops because, you know, people, you know, they're already riding us. You know what I mean? About every little thing.
That's true.
The fans that, you know, they want to see stuff as accurate as possible. Unfortunately, you know, unless these people have identical twins, you're not going to get an exact replica.
True.
But all we can do is bring forward the best version, you know, of them that could possibly be done outside of the actual people.
Yeah. But yeah, we're tired as fans being stuck with movies where it's just like the casting just gave up and was like, that'll work, let's just do it. Or if the storyline doesn't go along with what really happened. And from what you've been telling us, it seems like we're going to get a real movie.
Right, well
it's not going to be some put together stuff, it's all factual.
That's the other thing I was really excited about was the movie has been, you know, they really fought hard. They didn't just bow down and say, you know, oh, get a budget, you know, from a studio and then go, oh, we're, you know, making money. It wasn't about, you know, the making money aspect. You know, you're talking about guys involved that already have money. You know what I mean? But especially L.T. Hutton, who's one of the producers, who was like the front runner on this whole thing of bringing it from, you know, concept to actual fruition, and still involved daily, you know what I mean, hands-on with everything, especially accuracy. You know, and so you've had other individuals that were involved with the project early on who are great people in this business, but, you know, and I wasn't there, you know, but there were times where, you know, there were disagreements about, you know, they were really headstrong about this being accurate and about it being on point, not just for entertainment, but for this to be entertaining, but also a real live peek into the life of Tupac Shakur and the people around him, you know. Yeah, so.
I can't wait.
And then Benny Boom. Benny Boom is, I was always a fan of Benny Boom anyway, you know, even back when he was just doing music videos. But one thing I always noticed from Benny Boom, you know, when I was coming up, especially throughout the 90s and early 2000s, I used to see his videos and I'd be like, you know, I wonder when this guy's going to move into film. Because his visions, he was always, you know, kind of setting the trend. Mm-hmm. Benny would do something one way.
Videos were like mini movies.
Right, and then all the other directors would start following, oh, look, you know, Benny's trend, now they're trying to do it. So he was always setting trends visionary-wise. And so I was excited to see, you know, when Benny was going to move into film, which he had already moved into film. But this one I think is going to be really huge for Benny also because Benny is such a perfectionist. You know what I mean? He's such a perfectionist, and which is a great thing. Because even I've had people, makeup and wardrobe, run up to me and fix my collar because they're like, yeah, Benny said, you know, we got to fix the collar. You know, so like little things like that, like, right, like who's paying attention to that? But that's how these guys are being with this film. You know, everything, LT and Benny, you know, are working together hand in hand, day after day, you know, for accuracy and for the vision. You know, to bring forth a good vision. It's not going to be a regular movie, so to speak. It's not just going to be, you're going to see everything just move chronologically and, you know, you see from beginning to end the story you already know. Mm-hmm. But it's going to give you a real deep look into Tupac Shakur, what made him Tupac Shakur, and, you know, ultimately all the way to, you know, his death, and just give you a lot of real insight and into the mind of Tupac Shakur plus the life. You know, and that's what's just exciting for me because I think with the way they're doing it, you know, they're not just making, it's not a hip hop movie. It's about a hip hop icon, but it's not a hip hop movie. Okay. You know, I think they want to go for awards. You know, the way they're handling everything. I mean, everything from the lighting, there's no expense is spared to make it perfect. You know.
That's good to know. Because us as fans, when we first heard, oh, they're coming up with a Tupac movie, we were all like, oh yes, but at the same time it's like, oh no, it might go bad because we've seen, like, you know, we've seen movies that, you know, they kind of flopped because the fans weren't feeling it. They weren't feeling it at all. So what do you have to say to the fans out there who have things to say about the movie coming out? What are you going to say to them?
You know, the crazy thing is, you know, like I said, I've done many other movies and stuff before, and the buzz usually starts after you filmed and the movie's getting ready to come out and you're starting to see promo. That's when you start seeing the people buzzing, having their little things to say, etc. With this movie, it's been the opposite. We've just started filming, and I mean, you know, the fans around the world, you know, have just been reaching out and saying their piece, and you have a lot of people supporting. A lot of people are like you. Mm-hmm. I'm excited, but please, y'all, don't mess this up. You know what I mean?
Don't mess this up.
Right. So you have overwhelmingly, you have a lot of support. That's the thing I think has been cool, because I was more anticipating people to be like, you know, oh, you know, nothing can satisfy them, you know, because Tupac fans are hardcore. You know what I mean? I'm one of them, you know. So and Demetrius Shipp, who they have playing Tupac, you know, he looks like Pac, and he's taking it so serious that it's ridiculous. You know, he's kind of morphing into Pac. You know, even just when we're not, you know, on set, just regular talking and stuff, like he's just kind of took that on. But I mean, he's Tupac'd out from morning till night. Music, interviews, you know, any literal material. I mean, that's all he does is eat, sleep, and breathe Tupac Shakur. And I've been impressed, you know, by how serious he's taking it, and how much he's really bringing it, because Tupac, that's hard.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't have wanted that. You know, I don't know if I would have been brave enough, right?
That's a lot of pressure.
I don't know if I would have been brave enough to tackle that with, you know, millions of fans just looking at you like, you better not mess this up. You know, because that's how they are, you know. And then you have a lot of people supporting, you know, a lot of people like, oh man, that's crazy. You guys look like the guys, you know, this and that. And you have the few little knuckleheads here and there that nothing's going to satisfy them.
Yeah.
You know, so I saw something on a blog where one guy was saying how I had the look and size and everything was perfect, but my lips weren't big enough. So I shouldn't be shook. Right, like little stupid stuff. That's why I said the knuckleheads. You know, or, you know, somebody pointed out Demetrius, he doesn't have enough of a unibrow. You know, just little dumb stuff like that.
Wow.
Right, but overall, I mean, we have so much more support, and people are really excited, and they're cheering us on, and they're excited to see it. So I think the fans, any real true, I ain't talking about haters that just live to hate on anything that moves or breathes, but
there's a lot of those.
Right, with social media, it's like anybody can speak their mind, even if they should never speak their mind. But for the majority wise, the real Tupac fans, they're being very supportive, and the hard work that's going into this project, I think they're going to be excited and very pleased. I think they're going to get more than what they expect. You know what I mean? As far as just quality and a great movie and a great insight, because you're going to learn a lot of things too. That since I've been working on it, there's a lot of things like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. You know, like, wow. You know, I've gotten to learn a lot. I thought I was a mega fan until I got on this set. Yeah, I got on this set, and with this project, I was like, I knew none of that. You know what I mean? Was going on. And that's what it's going to do, is take you in there, you know, into Tupac's life, into Death Row, into just that whole era, you know, surrounding Tupac, of course. And I think they're going to love it. It's going to be something they're going to want to have in their collection when it, you know, gets out of theaters. It's going to run the theaters and then come out. And I think it's something they'll run to get and have in their collection, because it's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a classic. I can tell.
It's going to be a classic.
I can tell already. So, is there a specific time when the movie should be out? I know you said you are a month in now of shooting. So, what's the projected date?
I don't want to say any dates just because I have no clue. I know that there's a lot of double working going on. So, you know, as they're filming, they're also prepping. You know, so me personally would like to see it out at least by the end of this year. But like I said, I can't say for sure, you know, when it'd be. I'll let the producers speak on that, because I haven't heard any technical word that yes, it's going to be out at this time. I know people are saying, I've seen people saying little things about when it's coming out, September, August, and who knows, it very may well. I don't know, but I've not heard any official word on when exactly it'll be out. But I know they're excited to get it out once it's done, but they also want to do it right. Everything is like, they're big on everything's got to be done perfect. You know, release everything. So they'll release it when they know that it's just ready.
I guess we got to be patient.
Yeah, we all got to be patient. I mean, I'm in it, and I still, you know, I'm like, you know, I can't wait to see it myself.
Now, was acting something that you always wanted to do? Was it like, you know, growing up, did you always want to be an actor?
Yes and no. I did. My first dream was, of course, I wanted to go to the NFL. And that's before I had any height, size, or anything. You know, I was actually a small kid, and but I had a lot of heart. You know, it's like I knew I was going to be this big or something. But so I played football, you know, all the way up, and then I just had the injury and just couldn't get it back together like I wanted. And then so you know, I grew the size and all that, and couldn't play anymore. And so, you know, I had to come to a point where I was like, okay, I got to do something else. But that was always, for whatever reason, it was always part of the dream. It was like, okay, I'm going to play football, go to the NFL, do that for a few years. I know I'm going to be huge when I get to the NFL because I'm a beast. and then use that fame to parlay it over into film because I want to be an actor too and do movies, etc. And so when that didn't work out, then I was like, okay, well, let me figure out how to get into film then. And of course, being my size is, it was a challenge to figure out how to really utilize my size and look and everything, because I kind of had it to where mine was a little different as far as I have a big hulking figure, but then I don't have the big ugly crucial face. So, not saying I'm like the best looking guy on earth or anything. I'm just saying I didn't have. It's usually when you're which I'm sure if you think back on it, usually when you're a guy this big, you're usually playing something menacing or a big dummy or something like that.
True, yeah.
I don't have the big dummy look. But I have the size, And so, there's a lot of roles that I went for. They were like, I mean, you're great and you have the size, but your look just doesn't sell it. Like you don't, we need you to be right. Like prime example, I went Blindside, the movie that came out, Blindside. I had read for that when it was with Fox originally, and they had Renee Zellweger cast as the lead, which we know now Sandra Bullock ended up playing. But and it was called Big Old Mike, is what it was originally called. And so I read with them, they loved me and whatnot, and we were going back and forth, and I just knew, all right, I'm in. And they wanted me in, but they had this battle, and they were like, look at him though. And that was the thing of trying to get over, how do we sell this he's supposed to look like, nothing against Michael Oher, but, they're like, how do we sell this, look at Michael Oher, and then you got this whole complete different look, but you have the acting ability and the size. Yeah. And so eventually, they were just like, and I don't blame them. You got to keep it real, especially when you're dealing with real people.
Exactly.
You got to keep it real. And it actually went away for 2 years, and then all of a sudden it popped up. I think Universal, somebody else got it, and then with Sandra Bullock. And then I saw the guy they did cast as Michael Oher, and he was a lot closer to Michael, his Michael Oher's look than I was. And so, it was like, I was mad, especially when it went out and they were getting Oscar nominations and crap. But at the end of the day, you got to give it hands up to the casting directors because, they made an honest decision. And so I went from that, not knowing I'm not going to the NFL to how do I figure this out. And I had I was fortunate enough to have a theater arts teacher in high school. Her name was Vivian Wade. Still trying to find her.
Wow.
but she even in high school I was worried about football and in the beginning, and I didn't care about theater arts. I took it to get an easy grade, and she just always harassed me and just hounded me about really being involved, and I didn't want to. It was like geeky to me. Yeah. Right, you know what I mean? And one day she was on me so much, one day we were in a little hallway and she was fussing at me about something, and I was like, look, if I pay attention to you and I do what you're asking me to do and I get involved with the projects and this and that, will you just leave me alone? And she was like, you do what I asked you to do? And she was like, and I'll fall back off of you, I'll leave you alone. And she told me, something I never forgot, but she told me, she was like, you don't understand it now, and one day hopefully you do understand it. And see, she had previously worked in the film. She actually worked in the film business. She didn't just go get a degree and then start teaching school. She worked in the film business, Broadway, if I remember correctly. And she taught on the college level when she decided to do that. And she came down to get, more raw actors and teach at that level, which I think she eventually left and went back to the college level after us. She pulled me to the side and she was just like, you have what's called the it factor. She was like, there's no really way to explain what it is. She was like, but you have a presence about yourself that people are going to want to see. And she was like, and that, if you do what I tell you and you learn the things that I'm trying to teach you, you'll be able to really use that one day. And improvisation was the main thing that she taught. And because I never really took I didn't go to school for acting and art schools and all that, and big shout out to those people who do. I just wasn't one of them. So I had a natural ability that I honed my talents over the years, And but I never forgot what she said about that, and I never forgot the technique of improvisation. She was like, you learn this and you'll be able to use it in anything. And so I was like, okay. And I got good at it. And that's actually what carried me on when I would do auditions and things like that. You know, they'd be like, you know, your delivery is so natural. You know, it's pretty good. But that's from what I learned, you know, from there.
Back in high school.
Yeah. And I've been able, just like she said, you know, I've been able to use that, and I've been able to get projects. And, you know, I've heard people say the same thing. You have a presence about you that, you know, we like, you know, or when people see me in the project or something, they're like, well, you know, when you came on, your presence just kind of changes everything. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I take it as a compliment. And then, of course, my mother, she's been supportive since I was a little kid, you know. And I remember I went on an audition for a commercial or something like that. You know, I was a little, I didn't get it. They were saying I was too big to play, you know, the type of kid they wanted for my age group. But she was always still supportive. And even when I would get off into, like I said, I own businesses as well. So when I'd get off into that stuff, she'd still, you know, like, okay, that's all well and great. Your business is successful, wonderful. How's the film going? Film business going? You know, stay focused, stay on that, and always encouraging. So that helped me to really stay with it. And anybody who's in it, they know it's a long journey. It's a rough business. It's not all the glitz and glam that people think it is. And I think when a lot of people see that and they realize what it really is, you know, it's why you see a lot of people fall off. And, you know, I started businesses just because, you know, I knew, like, in the beginning, you got to have some other source of money, because in the beginning you're doing a bunch of free stuff. You know, doing a bunch of free stuff,
and work your way up.
Right, because it's not like a lot of other businesses. You have to actually put in the work and have on your resume, I've done this, this, and this, before you can start demanding, you know, money first of all, and then more money, and then it's like your money depends on whether you're hot or not, you know, or how hot you are, or how much you've cooled off. You know, it can change for you. So, you know, I went into that in Wilmington, North Carolina. You know, where the film industry was booming pretty strong at the time, and got my wings under me, got around some good people, started working with a company that's actually, they've taken off really big. They're down here now, Swirl Films. Mm-hmm. And so that's headed up by Eric Tomasunis, and I did my first film with him, and, you know, we kind of, you know, like grew, you know, as he continued to do bigger and bigger projects, and I started doing bigger projects as an actor, and he would constantly bring me on his projects. And and even to this day, we still work together on, you know, here and there on projects. And so I was fortunate and lucky in that because of my networking abilities. You know, once I got a chance to get around, it was the first producer I really got around, you know, and even though at the time he was like small time, but, you know, it was still, to me, it was like, you know, oh, a producer.
Exactly.
You know, so I clinged to him with everything I could, and just harassed him until he was like, okay, I'll bring you in for this or that, you know, and then we became friends. And then, you know, even he sat back and was like, you know, you're really good, you know, so then he wanted to bring me in more stuff and started giving me leads and things. I worked on a movie that was real popular, Love for Sale, that came out with him, and that went, BET, I think, broke a record playing that movie.
They still do.
And so yeah. So I think we are the most played movie, you know, in BET's history. But with that particular one, I loved it though. But and that's, you know, no matter all the other films I did, people still recognize me from that, especially black people. Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny because black people would be like, you know, hey, you gonna do any more movies? Like, I've done like 25 of them, you know, but it's, you know, they just didn't come on BET, you know, and so, so people, well, they, you know, they say, hey, Carlton, or, hey, my name is Love for Sale, out in the streets, yeah, which is so embarrassing because people who don't know what Love for Sale is or whatever, and they just see somebody yell at you, hey, Love for Sale.
Yeah, that could be kind of awesome.
You're like, it's long story. That's
awesome. Well, it's nice to know that, I mean, you're not just a fresh actor that's, you know, just starting out the gate. You have some experience, you know what you're doing, so you know how to play a part. So that's making us even more confident that the movie's gonna be great.
Oh yeah, I'm sharp. I'm sharp and I'm seasoned, and I think I'm sure I wasn't the only person they considered for Suge Knight. I just didn't see who else it was. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure those guys were all really good too. That's the hard thing about film, is, you know, when you do come up against other actors, you know, they want to pick who they think is going to be the best, not only ability-wise, but just persona in front of the camera, presence, you know, of course with what the character is they're looking for, you know what I mean? So that's always really tough. You know, I did see other actors that I don't see on set, you know, are going for a role that I see somebody else is playing, and you know, these people spend money to take planes or drive and all, so it's a tough business, you know what I mean? And you know, fortunately I'm in a position now at this point, you know, it's nothing to hop a plane, but at the same time, you know, I remember being in their shoes, you know, on the level where you're just starting out, and it hurts to make them flights or to take those long ass drives and not get something, you know, but you persevere and you keep going. And I've been in front of cameras many times. I've played all different types of characters, so I'm not, you know, just one of those people that, you know, I'm only always playing a certain type of character. I don't do like the stereotypical roles. You know, I've turned down a lot of money over my career, ignoring playing like, you know, just stupid thugs or, you know, dumb drug dealers or, you know, like the stereotypical stuff. They, you know, you see a big black man, they're like, oh, we want you to play this role, and you're like, there's no substance, you know. And I'm big on whatever you do, especially in film and music. When you lay something or you record something or film something, that's forever. You know, once it goes out, it's forever. And then, you know, I don't want to have to look back at my people and like, I know I shouldn't have done it, but I needed the money. You know, I know I made us all look bad. You know, I didn't want to be that guy, so I turned down a lot of stuff to be diverse and to be taken more serious and not just be a big dummy. Like if you go through my career, you'll never see me in any roles where I was just like a big goof or a big dummy or, you know, getting bossed around by some little midget, you know.
But it's funny though, because it's actors and actresses, many people, they don't catch on to it, but once you play a role and you play kind of a duplicate role, it follows you personally. Like it drops the role, now it's just you as a person.
Right.
So now when they see that person, and you know, on TV or on just a talk show, they're like, oh, that's the lady gets cheated on every movie.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You know, it sticks to an actor. It sticks to you. It really does.
Yeah.
That's awesome, though, that you think about your career that much. Most people are just after the mighty dollar, and that's it.
Right. Well,
thinking about it.
Like I said, I have a real strong networking ability, and so when I would get around other film sets, I mean, I was always around actors that were bigger than me or famous, super famous megastars, and I'd get the opportunity. You know, I'd find some way to get in, you know, and I could talk with them or just sit around and listen to all these, you know, big dogs just tell their stories, and they're just talking. They're not trying to teach anything. They're just talking to each other about old stories. I mean, some of the things you could imagine hearing going on behind the scenes of some of your favorite movies, or, you know, who really could have been playing this role or that role or whatever. It's crazy, and just to listen to them and how they think, and you always want to get around other successful people in your career path, you know, and to either talk with them or at least be able to listen to what they have to say, you know, and pick up some little nuggets here and there, you know. And so I got to learn that, you know, yes, sometimes the short-term money can be good, but it's short-term. You know, you can screw yourself in the long term grabbing at that short-term money.
You're right.
You know what I mean? So I learned early on, you know, watch my career and my brand, because, you know, yeah, I could have been out, you know, in a bunch of different things, you know, well-known movies, but at the same time, I was like, you know, that ain't for me. You know, I'll let somebody else play that role. And I've watched people, you know, take those roles, and, you know, you don't really see them much anymore because they're seen one type of way. You know, that's why I said the difference between long-term money and short-term money, you got to watch it.
And one last question is, did you have to really do much to change your appearance in order to play the role?
Yes. Not a whole bunch. I mean, I was already light-skinned.
Yeah, you didn't have to work on that.
Yeah, fortunately, me and Suge are
But
pretty
the
much the
beard,
same complexion.
The haircut, did you have to do
I've never been bald in my life, and so I usually have curly hair because my father's Puerto Rican, my mother's black, and so I normally, you know, have curly hair, and I was born with a head full of hair, so I've never been bald. So yes, that was a little odd for me. It took some getting used to. Fortunately, when I cut it off, I was like, oh, okay, I don't look that bad. You know,
your new hairstyle.
right, and other people were like, yeah, okay, it works. I was scared for you, but it works. So, you know, and I was excited though because, you know, like I said, it was something I'd never done. I like doing things new that I haven't tried before. And so I was excited to get the role, so I had no problem chopping it off, couldn't wait. And, you know, and then like I said, to see that new look, you know what I mean, that I've never done before. And grew up, my beard I had already started kind of wearing it, you know, like this, but just thinner. And so all I had to do is just kind of let it grow.
Join the beard game.
Yeah, join the beard game, put on some weight, you know, the ice cream pizza diet. Yeah, it's funny enough, I'm doing another role this summer, and I actually have to be like really in shape for that role. So I had started with, I have an athletic trainer, Alex Croteau, and he's a pro athlete trainer, really good. And so I had actually was just starting with the, you know, the meal plans and the, you know, he'll put you in workouts that will almost kill you, but will get you where you need to be. And I just started that, and they were like, "Hey, congratulations, you got the role of Suge Knight." And I was like, I just started working on my 8-pack, man. But I was
put it back.
right. But I was, like I said, I was excited. I didn't care. I was like, oh well, I just eat whatever I want now and put the weight back on. And so, you know, so I put some weight on. You know, my back is still getting used to it. But and when this is done, I'm jumping straight in the gym, and then that's what's going to be the funniest thing when we're doing the premieres. But when it does come out, and they'll be like, you know, where's Suge? Right, like where's Suge? They're like, that's him with the curly hair and the 8-pack. You know, so
That's cool.
Yeah, so
that's the fun thing about acting.
Right.
You know, you get to transform your look for a little while. That's
Exactly. So get to eat whatever I want right now.
Nothing's wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing's wrong with that. It made me a little self-conscious. You know, I'm used to being a little slimmer, but but other than that, you know, I heard I still don't look that bad, so I'm okay with it for now. It's for the greater good, you know.
As long as you feel comfortable doing it. Sometimes, you know, that's like the breaking point for some actors. They feel like, oh, I can't do that to myself. I can't. But in order to match the role, you have to do what it takes.
Yeah, so I had to look like as much as Suge as possible, and so, you know, you can't come out there, you know, with an 8-pack, trying to play Suge Knight. People really be watching the movie like, come on, son,
Really?
like really, you know.
But seriously, when we first encountered you, when we first met you, when you came around the corner, I was like, yep, that's a big guy. They picked the right guy. All right, well, we appreciate you.
Most definitely.
Look forward to seeing the movie. All the success with the movie as well that's going to come with it. From what you've told us, we feel like it's going to be a hit. So we just can't wait to see how it really comes out. We're excited.
Most definitely, me too. Can I shout out my social media?
Go ahead.
Because apparently my publicist has been on me because I'm horrible about my social media. so I'm working on it. But people can follow me on Instagram at official Dom, D-O-M, Santana. And Twitter is just my name, Dominic, capital D, Santana, capital S, all together. And then on Facebook, Dominic L. Santana.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.